I'm a little embarrassed about the whole thing. Between 250,000 and 300,000.
$300,000?
$300,000. Gone. And he is so ashamed of what happened that he cannot even use his real name on camera. Think about that. A man who lost $300,000. Not because he was careless, not because he ignored every warning, but because he did exactly what a careful, intelligent person would do. He asked for proof, and they gave it to him. A real ID card, a real name, a real photograph of a real employee at a real company. All of it stolen. Stay right here, because by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how scammers steal the identity of real companies and real people to manufacture trust, and what you must do right now to make sure this never happens to someone you love. If you leave before this video ends, you leave without the one piece of information that could save your family. Do not move. Meet George, a Central Florida man. He is not naive. He is not reckless. He is a regular human being who walked to his mailbox one day and found something that started a 2-year nightmare. A flyer from Publishers Clearing House. The real Publishers Clearing House. The legitimate company that has been running real sweepstakes and delivering real prizes to real Americans for decades. You have seen the commercials. You know the brand. You trust it. Everyone does. That trust, the trust built by a real company, over decades of real prize giving, is exactly what these criminals stole and weaponized against George. George went to the PCH website, entered the activation code from the flyer, gave them his contact information. Everything legitimate, everything above board. A few weeks later, his phone rang.
$10 million in a check and $2.5 million in cash that would be delivered to me in a briefcase.
$10 million in check, $2.5 million in cash, delivered to his door, in a briefcase. Now, before you say that sounds too good to be true, understand one critical thing. George had just legitimately entered a Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. He had just filled out a real form from a real company that really does give away millions of dollars to real people every single year. The timing felt like confirmation. It felt like the call made sense, because he had just done the thing that would lead to this exact call. And that is not a coincidence. That is a trap. The Better Business Bureau confirmed that year alone nearly 200 Americans were contacted by scammers fraudulently using the PCH name. These criminals monitor sweepstakes entries, purchase consumer data lists, and specifically target people who have recently entered legitimate contests. Because they know the timing will lower every defense you have. You already opened the door. They just walked through it wearing PCH's uniform. The first request was small, deliberately small. Wire a few $100s to cover the cost of stamps on legal documents, a tiny fraction of a $10 million prize, completely reasonable, completely manageable. Then delivery fees. Then storage fees for the Mercedes-Benz he had also apparently won. Each request came with a new reason. Each reason came with new documents. Each document looked completely legitimate. And George kept going, because every time he paid, the prize felt closer. His brain was doing exactly what the sunk cost trap was designed to make it do. The more he invested, the harder it became to stop. Then doubt crept in, and George did exactly what a careful, intelligent person would do. He asked for identification.
It just kept going and getting me deeper and deeper.
A real ID card, a real name, a real photograph of a real woman who really works for Publishers Clearing House as their official Prize Patrol spokeswoman. George looked at that ID. He looked at that photo. His doubt disappeared, and he kept sending money. Because what he did not know, what almost nobody knows, is that hundreds of photos of this woman are publicly available online. Her face, her name, her job title, her role at PCH, all of it accessible to anyone with a search engine and 5 minutes. Scammers downloaded her photos, printed a fake employee ID, and used it to answer the one question George asked specifically to protect himself. His own caution became the tool that convinced him to keep going. That is not bad luck. That is a calculated move by criminals who have run this operation hundreds of times and know exactly which moment of doubt to target and exactly what to hand you when it arrives. If this video is already showing you how sophisticated and how calculated these scams truly are, subscribe right now. Every week we cover real cases like George's, because understanding exactly how these criminals think is the only real protection you have. Subscribe. 2 seconds. It might save someone you love hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now let me explain why this specific type of scam is uniquely dangerous. More dangerous than a cold call from a stranger, more dangerous than a random email from an unknown source. Because this scam does not build its own credibility from scratch. It borrows credibility that already lives inside your mind. Publishers Clearinghouse is not a scam. It is a real company. The prize patrol is real, the winners are real, and that decades-long history of genuine legitimacy is exactly what these criminals attach themselves to. They do not need you to trust them. They need you to trust PCH, and you already do. They just redirect that existing trust toward their criminal operation. This is what makes brand impersonation scams so uniquely effective, and so uniquely dangerous for people who have actually interacted with the real brand. Because the story fits perfectly, because the timing makes complete sense, because everything aligns with something real that actually happened in your life. The door was already open. They just needed the right uniform to walk through it. And George is not alone. Not even close. Nearly 200 Americans in that year alone were documented contacting authorities after being targeted by PCH impersonators. And that is only the reported cases. The real number is almost certainly 4 to 5 times higher, because most victims, like George, never come forward. The shame is too heavy. The humiliation is too deep. And that shame is not accidental. It is built into the design of the scam. A victim who is ashamed does not report, does not warn their family, does not tell their neighbors. And silence is the oxygen that keeps these criminal operations breathing. George chose to break that silence. He sat in front of a camera, too humiliated to use his own name, and told his story anyway, because he genuinely believed that his pain could stop the next person from going through what he went through.
That this is going on, so that they don't fall in the same trap that I fell into.
Don't fall in the same trap I fell. From a man who lost $300,000 and could not put his real name on the warning, we owe him the same courage he showed us. So let us make sure his warning reaches every single person who needs to hear it. Here are the exact rules. The rules that would have protected George. The rules that will protect you and everyone you love starting right now. Rule 1. No legitimate sweepstakes will ever call to notify you of a win. PCH confirmed it themselves on their official YouTube channel. They do not call winners. They do not email winners demanding upfront fees. If you receive any phone call telling you that you have won anything, that call is a scam, no exceptions. Full stop. Rule 2. No legitimate prize ever requires upfront payment, stamps on legal documents, delivery fees, storage fees, taxes that must be paid before release of funds. None of these are real requirements of any legitimate sweepstakes anywhere in the United States. The moment any fee is requested before you receive your prize, hang up immediately and do not call back. Rule 3. Verify identification through channels you control. George asked for ID and received a stolen one. The lesson is not to stop asking for verification. The lesson is to verify through channels that you control, not channels the caller provides. If someone claims to be from any company, hang up. Go to that company's official website. Find their official phone number yourself. Call them directly and ask if the contact was real. Rule 4. The timing feeling right is not proof of anything. George entered a real PCH contest. A few weeks later, he got a call about winning PCH. The timing felt like confirmation. It was not. It was the trap being sprung at exactly the right moment. A call that fits the story you are living is not evidence the caller is legitimate. It is evidence that they did their research. Rule 5. Tell someone before you send a single dollar. Call a family member. Show them the documents. Read them the messages. A second set of eyes that is not emotionally connected to the prize will see immediately what you cannot see from inside the excitement. Scammers create urgency and secrecy for one reason only, because they know one outside voice breaks the entire spell. Here is something I want you to sit with before we close. George lost $300,000 over 2 years, payment by payment, each one feeling like the last payment he would ever need to make before the briefcase arrived at his door. The briefcase never came, but the shame did, and it followed him all the way to a television interview where he still could not bring himself to use his own name. Right now, as you are watching this, someone somewhere has just walked to their mailbox and found a real PCH flyer. They went to the website, they entered the code, they gave their information, and in a few weeks their phone is going to ring. The question is, will they know what you now know? Before you go, watch the next video on this channel. Because George lost $300,000 to scammers who borrowed a real company's name and stole a real employee's face. The next case we cover, the scammers built everything from scratch. A fake company, a fake website, fake employees, fake everything. And it was so convincing that even people who searched for the company online found it, verified it, and still lost everything. If you think you now know enough to protect the people you love, Watch that next video, because the moment you think you understand how these criminals operate is exactly the moment they change the playbook. Subscribe, because the next target does not know they are a target yet. Neither did George.